Oh, good old Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke, and a lot of people love coffee. What do they both have in common, and should you drink coffee and, most importantly, caffeine? Now, before I crack on with the video, so good. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe below, click the bell, turn on the notifications, and you'll always get an update whenever I post a video. So I always get asked, Michael, do I have to cut out coffee, and do I have to cut out XYZ, Diet Coke, Coke to not get caffeine in? And the simple answer is up to you. But in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about why caffeine isn't great for your body and why you should probably consider stop drinking caffeine or coffee. Now, my own experience with caffeine is mainly through Diet Coke. So I can get easily addicted to Diet Coke. I love it when I open the bottle, the sound it makes, the fizz when you put it in your mouth, the little hiccup it gives you after you have your first sip. And I could literally go through 2 liters of Diet Coke a day without batting an eyelid. And to me, a while ago, that would be totally normal. In fact, I would do it all the time. And every now and then, I will still whack through a bottle of Coke and a Diet Coke specifically. That's specifically what I like. It's not because it's diet, it's because I just prefer the taste. And I'm sure any other Diet Coke addicts out there will agree with me. And if you're a Coke addict, then you're complete opposite, Diet Coke scum. But it's the caffeine that we all end up addicted to. So I could go through 2 liters of Diet Coke a day very easily. I can do it without even realizing. I can have loads in the morning, loads in the afternoon, loads in the evening. And then before I know it, I will get a really terrible night's sleep. And it's purely down to it mucking up your bodily functions. But most people tend to have the same thing as what I have with Diet Coke with coffee. And people are addicted to coffee. We can't wake up in the morning without it. You have to function. You have to have coffee to be able to function and do your everyday life. So in this video, I'm going to break down what happens when we have caffeine and coffee, what it does, and to be honest, why it's not very good for you and why you should probably stop having it. Obviously, it's always up to you, but yeah, it's not the greatest thing for you, for sure, if you want to be healthy. So one of the things with caffeine is it increases your cortisol output, which is your stress hormone, which one of the side effects is weight gain on your face and on your chest and on your abdomen. So that's one of the things that cortisol does. Now, before I carry on this video, I'm actually going to sit back down to where I was because I realized I can't really get any good lighting because either the sun is plowing into my eyes or I'm being blinded. Where was I? Cortisol is also linked to high blood pressure. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to be healthy, the last thing you want is high blood pressure. If you go into your doctors and things like that, first thing they check is your blood pressure. If your blood pressure is high, then that's not a healthy cardiovascular system that you have. Likewise, it increases your heart rate. Why do you want to have high blood pressure and a high heart rate artificially? If you're going to get high heart rate, you want to do it naturally through working out. You don't want to be increasing your heart rate for no reason. It's totally pointless and very detrimental to your health, because if your heart rate is high and it doesn't need to be, you're just stressing out your body and your cardiovascular system for no health benefit. Cortisol also leads to an increased chance in osteoporosis, which is where your bones become weaker and a bit brittle. But one of the main things that you may notice from cortisol is mood swings, irritability, and it can also cause anxiety. So when you have your heart rate increased, when your blood pressure is higher, you are more stressed. You are going to be naturally more irritable and more prone to mood swings. So if you're having coffee, you are promoting that within your body. Your mood is going to be easily changed a lot quicker. Now, the problem with caffeine is you get addicted to it. So what happens is you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh God, I'm in such a mood. I need to get my caffeine in. I'm not functioning properly. And if you don't have your caffeine, you are now in a bit of a mood. You're a bit irritable. So then you have the caffeine to stop you from being irritable and moody. But caffeine also causes you to be moody and irritable. So it's a cycle of the caffeine is trying to fix the problem you're with, but it's also a band-aid, and it now causes that very same problem. The thing is, if caffeine is good for you, it wouldn't increase your blood pressure, it wouldn't give you a high heart rate, it wouldn't give you mood swings and irritability in the morning and throughout the day if you don't have it, and most certainly it wouldn't be increasing your stress hormones. So that is just one hormone that it affects, which is the main one in all fairness. But if a drink does all of that, do you think you should really be drinking it? Probably not. The next thing with caffeine is it affects your circadian rhythm, which is your body clock. The half-life of coffee is about 5 to 6 hours. So if you was to have a coffee at midday, half of it would be out of your system by 5 or 6 o'clock. So if you're someone that suffers with poor sleep, which I know a lot of people who follow programs and fitness goals are, because I train a lot of mums and a lot of dads who are busy working, they've got kids, and they blame their hectic life. Have you ever thought that it could actually be a caffeine? Possibly, because what caffeine does, it blocks your receptors in your brain from getting tired. Melatonin to get to them receptors to help you feel tired at the right times. Caffeine blocks them receptors from receiving that. So you may feel like you are more alert, but actually you're just blocking off any sleepiness that you may have, which in a way is handy, but in a way it isn't, because it then creates more melatonin, so that if you could imagine in your head, you've got all these receptors. Say you've got 3 receptors and you've blocked them off in your head from being able to receive melatonin because you've had caffeine. Your body now creates more receptors. So say 4, 5, 6 more. This is just hypothetically receptors. Because it's created that, it now has to release more melatonin, more of that hormone into your body to help you feel tired later. But then you now have to have more caffeine to stop you from getting tired. And that's how throughout the day you end up drinking more and more coffee over time. You may have started having 1 coffee a day, then it's 2, then it's 3. And now before you know it, you're a couple of years in and you may be having 5, 6, 7 plus coffees a day, which is extremely high. But the thing is, you have now blocked your hormones so much that it's hard for you to really ever get a good sleep, because every time your body is trying to get to sleep, it can't really make use of this hormone that's in your body to help you get you to sleep. Now melatonin normally works on when it gets dark, so that's when the hormone helps release itself. But if you're having coffee, then it's blocking that, and that is one of the reasons why people end up so tired all the time, because they have now become coffee dependent to keep them awake, but now also it's so bad that they are so tired of being tired, if that makes sense, and then they're not getting no sleep, which isn't good for your body, because you are ruining your hormones and your natural sleeping pattern. You're ruining your body clock basically. And then the problem with that is when it affects your sleep, it affects your recovery from your workouts or from your daily life. So if you've had a highly stressful day at work and your cognitive load is quite high and you've had to use a lot of brain power that day, and your body needs to rest and your brain needs to recover from its thought processes throughout the day, it can't recover because you've stressed it out, but because you've had the caffeine, it now can't recover in its sleep. So now you're constantly leading a life of stress every day. If you're working out and you're trying to lose weight, all of your weight loss benefits come through the night. For example, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, you weigh yourself on the scales, you're going to be a little bit lighter. You haven't weed in the night, you haven't pooed in the night, you're just naturally a bit lighter. Your body and its muscle cells are recovering in the middle of the night from its workouts. So if you want to be healthy and you want to lose good amounts of weight and you want to be at your optimum best as a human being, then caffeine is blocking you from the most important thing, which is sleep, which helps you function and gives you loads of energy throughout the day. And then the problem is when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are at their natural highest state. So when you wake up in the morning, a non-coffee drinker, and everyone, and in fact it applies to you even if you are a coffee drinker and you're having a coffee watching this video, if you wake up in the morning, your body's cortisol levels are at its highest because it's in a waking up state. It's a stressful state for the body, but it wakes you up. So your cortisol levels, you're starting off your day with these cortisol levels high naturally, which is totally normal. So it's a highly stressful part of the day, and that's why a lot of people tend to meditate in the morning, or they do a workout to get to de-stress. But the problem is, when you're in that position, you're then having coffee, which adds to that stress level. So you may not actually feel stressed. You may actually feel like, this is a great time of day. I've had my coffee. I'm happy now. But your body is functioning in a stressful state, which isn't good for weight loss and on all your hormones and all your functions, because now you are artificially waking yourself up rather than your body waking itself up naturally. And by doing that, you're wearing out your adrenal system, your adrenal glands, and it is just not good for your body. It's not healthy. The other thing with caffeine is you end up decreasing your sensitivity to insulin, and it makes it hard for your cells to control the blood sugar. So what happens is, when you can't control that process very well, you store it as fat. So if you're drinking lots of caffeine and you're mucking up your insulin sensitivity, if you're trying to lose weight, it just doesn't work very well at all. But the next part of it is caffeine also plays havoc on your digestive system. You may notice, like, sometimes when you have a cup of coffee, you have to go straight to the toilet. And it just isn't very good for your gut flora, and it whacks out of balance your digestive system. The number one thing in being healthy and having good energy levels and sleep and everything like that is your ability to have a good digestive system. A good digestive system will help you sleep. It will help you absorb nutrients. It will help give you energy. That is all you need to be healthy. A good digestive system with exercise. And with a good digestive system, it is the number one thing that affects your mood and your overall well-being. Because we don't want to get hangry, but in all seriousness, your brain is closely connected to your gut. So if your gut is unhealthy, your brain is unhealthy. Have you ever noticed, if you're feeling ill, it's your tummy that's ill, not your brain? But then your brain, you get so sloggy and so worn out from it. And it's not because your brain is ill, it's because there's something wrong with your tummy. So if you've got a bad belly, you instantly get tired and you get drained out. You get drained quickly because your digestive system demands so much energy. So remember, the number one part of your body, which is the most important thing, is your digestive system. And if your caffeine is ruining it and you're having lots of coffee every day, it's not going to be great for your overall well-being and your health, and it is going to affect your mood. So if you've got a bad digestive system, I can guarantee you're in a bad mood. But one of the other hormones that it releases is dopamine. That dopamine is what helps you feel happy. It puts you in a good mood. It helps you stay motivated. It helps you keeps you energized, and it gives you that feel-good factor. Now the problem is that dopamine effect is you become addicted to it. So you have your coffee, like, oh yeah, I've got my warm brew in my hand. It's exactly the same with me and a Diet Coke. If I have a Diet Coke, I'm like, yes, life is good. If you wake up in the morning, you've got your cup of coffee, it's warm, it smells good. You have your first sip and you get that dopamine hit, and it feels good, like, at last I've had my cup of coffee. If you've been in the mood all morning and you finally have your cup of coffee, you're like, yes, I've had my cup of coffee. But that is a fake dopamine hit, because you're then releasing a hormone that doesn't need to be released, and it becomes a little bit artificial. So then throughout the day, you need that to feel good and motivated with your work. Dopamine helps you feel motivated. So now you're going to work, and your work is dependent on your dopamine hit. So now your work is actually dependent on coffee. Now, one thing I want you to consider is how many aspects of your life are controlled by caffeine. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're in a mood, is your whole day going to be in a mood purely because of caffeine? Probably, yeah. So caffeine has got you hostage over how you should be feeling. You shouldn't be requiring caffeine or anything external or a stimulant to feel good about yourself and feel good about work, about your family, and to be able to function, most importantly. And the other thing is, it's not good for your thyroid. With all these hormones being affected in your body when you have caffeine, it is not good for your thyroid. So if you're someone who suffers from a bad thyroid, the number one thing you should be looking at is potentially taking out caffeine out of your diet, because I can guarantee you it won't be doing you any good if you've got any thyroid problems. So what are my overall thoughts? My overall thought is you shouldn't obviously drink caffeine, but it's kind of similar to smoking, right? So years ago, smoking was the in thing. Everyone would have cigarettes, everyone would smoke. I've never really smoked. Well, I've never smoked, I've never smoked. But years ago, it would be promoted as, oh, it's healthy, it's good for you. Have your cigarette, and all these cigarette companies would promote it as healthy. There was even doctors promoting it as being healthy. It's kind of similar at the moment with coffee. They've now found out that like smoking gives you cancer, and you know it's all a big thing. It's kind of going in a similar way to coffee, although we're not at that stage yet. But with coffee, with it ruining people's hormones and people are now depending on it and they can't function without it, then you have to think to yourself, is it actually good for you? Probably not. And everywhere you go, oh, let's go for a coffee break, let's go for coffee, let's do this. It's the same as back then, like, let's go for a cigarette, let's go for a fag, let's have a fag break. Let's now have a coffee break. Let's now go meet up for a smoke. Let's now go meet up for a coffee, and so on and so forth. It's all very similar from what I can see in terms of that once being healthy and now it's being bad for you, and now coffee and caffeine being healthy, and then I'm sure one day it's all going to come out a little bit more that it's not very good for you. It's just not being highlighted enough yet. And with all these coffee shops everywhere, it's great for socializing, but then again, so was smoking. But we all have these little things these little weaknesses that we have. So to socialize, we should go for a smoke. To socialize, we should go for a drink. To socialize, we should go for a coffee. And we're all starting to get, it's like a common habit. How can these companies make money easiest way possible by getting them addicted to something like caffeine, alcohol, or cigarettes, in the easiest way possible by making it social. So if you think about it, coffee, it's not very expensive to make. Once you have coffee, you're now addicted. You try and get off of it, you now have bad headaches, so you go back to it. It's not that bad for you anyway. They say it's good. That gym has a coffee cafe, and so on. So then you're like, I'll be okay with it. But actually, it's not good for you. It's increasing your heart rate, it's increasing your high blood pressure. It's not good for your cortisol levels, your stress hormones. It's terrible for your sleep. It's just not great for you. I notice it myself. If I have a bottle of Coke in a day, I will have a poor night's sleep, and I notice that. So if people, and there is caffeine in that, there's nowhere near as much as most coffees. If you're having lots of coffee every day, you're going to be suffering. Your sleep is going to be terrible. But the problem is with it is your body is now functioning not in its natural state. You're preventing it from being in its natural state. Would you give coffee to your kids? Would you give coffee to your dog? They're two things that are very energetic. They don't require coffee. The only thing that requires coffee has been you as you've got older. You may have got to a certain age, maybe you're a teenager, work got overloaded, or you're at university and you're out all night. Now you'd have to wake up in the morning 3 hours after coming home from work and from a night out. Now you're now going to work. Now you're having a coffee. So now you need that to wake you up, and it's just become a habit from there. Your body can function without it, and you will have more energy without it. You'll have a state of, you'll just be more optimum without caffeine in your system, because at the moment you require it for being normal, but you're blocking out all of these hormones, and that's going to cut down on your life quite a lot if you're mucking up with your hormones in your body. The first week of cutting out caffeine is you're going to have some terrible headaches. It will be horrible. The second week, the headaches will normally go away. They should have gone away, and they're pretty sure they do, but you'll be tired. You'll be catching up with all the receptors I told you about. You've got so many receptors that they're picking up all the melatonin, and now you're getting tired really easily. So you will get tired pretty fast, and it will take you a couple of more weeks to feel functioning back to normal. But actually, when you get back to that point, your energy levels will be so much steadier, your sleep will be so much deeper, you'll be so much more energized throughout the day, and you won't be dependent on a stimulant, a drug, to make you function properly. Because right now, you need that stimulant to work. You need that stimulant to have fun with the kids and not be tired around them. You need that stimulant on a weekend because you can't lay in properly no more, and so on and so forth. And your most aspects of your life are actually reliant on coffee. I should just let you consider that, okay? So if you're thinking, I'm going to do it for a week and then I decide, well, if you've gone through all the headaches, don't waste your time. You've gone through a load of pain to what? Go back to going back to all these health problems again? You shouldn't do that. Take the week of the headaches. Once you're through that week, keep it out. The health benefits are incredible, and yeah, you will feel so much better. When I cut out Diet Coke properly, like I am now, I know you saw a bottle of Coke a minute ago, but that's just there. But when it's cut out, you will be so much more energized. You won't be dependent on that caffeine hit, okay? So I hope this video helps. It's a tough video for a lot of people because they're thinking, can I cut it out? Should I cut it out? Please cut it out. If you want to be healthy, if you don't want all them health problems, cut it out, because it'd be hard for you to get out of. And if you've never had caffeine before, don't go there. Don't do it. And if you have had energy drinks like Red Bull and stuff, anyway, take care. I shall speak to you soon, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments below. I'm sure it will get a lot of hate, but hey, I'm just doing my job. I just want you to be healthy. Bye.